Hi there, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Estes, and today we're going to be talking about converting measurements. Our I can statement is I can convert measurement within the same measurement system. So we'll be converting either within the customary units or converting metric units. So you can describe the same measurement using different units. For example, 1 kilometer describes the same distance as 1,000 meters. The length is the same. The units used to measure the length are different, so the number of units in the measurement is different too. Kilometers are a larger unit of measurement than meters. Since there are 1,000 meters in each kilometer, you can multiply the length or distance in kilometers by 1,000 to convert the measurement to meters. So when we're going from a larger unit to a smaller unit, we're going to have to use multiplication. So we have 4 and 5/10 kilometers, and we're trying to figure out how many meters that would be. Well, we know that there are 1,000 meters in a kilometer, so we can multiply by 1,000, and that means 4 and 5/10 kilometers would be equal to 4,500 meters. Meters are a smaller unit of measurement than kilometers. Since 1 kilometer is equivalent to 1,000 meters, you can divide the length or distance in meters by 1,000 to convert the measurement to kilometers. So if we're starting with meters, 6,700 meters, and then converting to kilometers, we're now going from a smaller unit of measurement to a larger unit of measurement, and that's why we're going to have to use division. So we take our original measurement, 6,700, and we divide by 1,000 in order to get 6 7/10 kilometers. So 6,700 meters is equal to 6 7/10 kilometers. So we can use what we've learned there with multiplying and dividing by powers of 10 to help us with our metric conversions. Okay, so like I said before, if we're going from a larger unit to a smaller unit, we're going to use multiplication to help us figure out our new measurement. And if we go from a smaller unit to a larger unit, we are going to divide. So we have some measurements over here that are pretty common measurements that we usually use, and we can use that information to help us complete this chart. The first thing we want to do, though, is to take a look at this big G. This big G is something that we could also use to help us remember measurements of 1 gallon. So the big G stands for a gallon. Well, I know that there are 4 quarts in a gallon, so I can draw 4 Q's. Each Q stands for a quart. So 4 quarts in a gallon, and I know within each gallon within each quart, we can fit 2 pints. So 2 pints inside each gallon for a total of 8 pints in a gallon. And we can go even further, and we know that there are 2 cups in each pint. So we can write 2 C's inside each P to represent 2 cups in each pint. So that gives us a total of 16 cups in a gallon, because we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So this is a helpful tool that you could draw yourself in order to help you remember your measurements of a gallon. So if we look over here at our capacity chart, we have 1 pint is equal to blank fluid ounces. Well, if I come over here to this information, it tells me that 1 cup is 8 fluid ounces, and 1 pint is equal to 2 cups. So 2 cups would be equal to 8 times 2, or 16 fluid ounces. So if 1 pint is 16 fluid ounces, 2 pints would be what? We're going from a pint that's larger to ounces that are smaller. So we're going to multiply, and we're going to multiply 2 times 16. And 2 times 16 is what, guys? Yep, 32. So That means 2 pints would be equivalent to 32 fluid ounces. All right, well, if we have 64 fluid ounces and we want to try to figure out how many pints that would be, we're now going from ounces, which are smaller, to pints, which are larger. So we're going to have to divide because we're going this way. So we're going to take 64 and we're going to divide 64 by 16. And 64 divided by 16 is going to give us 4 pints. All right, next we have 1 gallon. And 1 gallon is equal to how many quarts? Well, up here in our chart, it tells us 1 gallon is equal to 4 quarts, or we can look at our big G and see that, yes, there are 4 Q's inside the gallon, so that's going to be 4 quarts. So 2 gallons, we're going from gallons, which are larger, to quarts that are smaller. And since there are 4 in 1 gallon, we're going to multiply by 4. 2 times 4 would equal 8. So 2 gallons would be equal to 8 quarts. All right, last on this chart, we have 40 quarts, and we have to figure out how many gallons that would be. So we're going from quarts that are smaller to gallons that are larger. So this time we're going to divide. And 40 divided by 4, still dividing by 4 because 4 quarts are in a gallon, would be 10. So we have 10 gallons is equal to 40 quarts. All right, last we have 1 liter, and we will need to know how many milliliters that is equal to. So up here it tells us 1 liter is equal to 1,000 milliliters. So we're going from liters that are larger to milliliters that are smaller. So yes, we're going to multiply. So because 1 liter is equal to 1,000 milliliters, we're going to multiply by 1,000. And we can use what we've learned with multiplying and dividing by powers of 10. We know that when we multiply by a power of 10, our decimal is going to move to the right. Since we have 3 zeros, we can move our decimal 3 times. So it goes 1, 2, 3. So we'd have to add 1 0. So that tells us that this is equal to 30 milliliters. So 3/100 of a liter is equal to 30 milliliters. All right, so last we have 50 milliliters, and we have to figure out how many liters. So we're going from a smaller unit, milliliters, to a larger unit, liters. So we're going to divide because we're going from a smaller to a larger unit. So we're going to divide by 1,000. And when we divide by a power of 10, our decimal is going to move to the left. So our decimal is right here behind the 0. So we're going to move 1, 2, 3, and put that placeholder. So that gives us 5/100 of a liter is equivalent to 50 milliliters. So that's some examples dealing with our capacity. All right, now let's take a look at weight. So if we look at our chart, we know that 1 pound is equal to 16 ounces. 1 ton is 2,000 pounds, and 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams. Kilo is a clue for 1,000 grams. So 1 pound is 16 ounces, so we can use that information here. So if 1 pound is 16 ounces, we can multiply that by 2 to figure out that 2 pounds is equal to 32 ounces. And what times 16 is 64? And that would be 4. 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams. So here we're going from kilograms that are larger to grams that are smaller. So we're going to multiply, and we're multiplying by 1,000. So that means our decimal is going to move 3 times to the right. So we move 1, 2, 3, so that gives us 50 grams. and double that amount, 100 grams, we could divide by 1,000. And when we divide by 1,000, our decimal is going to move 1, 2, 3 times to the right. So that gives us 1/10, or even if you leave those zeros there and have 100 thousandths, it's still going to equal the same thing. All right, let's take a look at some linear examples, talking about how long something is. So larger unit to a smaller unit, again, we're still going to multiply. A smaller unit to a larger unit, we are going to divide. So 1 meter is equal to 1,000 millimeters. So 2 meters would be equal to 2,000 millimeters. So what would 5,000 millimeters be? If we're going from millimeters, which are smaller, to meters that are larger, we could divide. And if we divide by 1,000, 5,000 divided by 1,000 would be 5. All right. 1 yard is equal to how many inches? Well, if we look up here in our chart, we see that 1 yard is equal to 3 feet, and 1 foot is equal to 3 inches. So 12 times 3 would be, that's right, 36 inches. So 1 yard is the same thing as 36 inches. So 2 yards, if we're going to go from yards that are larger to inches that are smaller, we can multiply 2 times 36, which would give us a total of 72 inches. All right, now we're going to go the opposite way. We're going to go from inches that are smaller to yards that are larger. So we're going to divide by 36. And if we take 180 and divide by 36, that's going to equal 5 yards. And last, we have our metric. We have 1 meter is equal to, look up here at the chart, 100 centimeters. That prefix centa is 100, so that's a clue, 100 meters. So if we're going from meters that are larger to centimeters that are smaller, we can multiply, and we're going to multiply by 100, which means our decimal is going to move to the right, and it's going to move to the right 2 times. So if it moves to the right 2 times, that's going to give us 5 centimeters. Here we're starting with 10 centimeters, and we're going to go convert to meters, which are larger. So we're going from a smaller unit to a larger unit. So we're going to divide by 100 this time, which means our decimal is going to move to the left 2 times. So we go 1, 2, and that gives us 1/10, or if we leave that 0, 10 hundredths. All right, so now let's take a look at a few word problems. So this first problem, on a road trip, Casey and his family drive 50 kilometers a day for 5 days. So that's important information. 50 kilometers a day for 5 days. How many meters will they drive in 5 days? So if we take a look at the first information that we underlined, our information is given to us in kilometers, but they want our answer in meters. But they drove 50 kilometers a day for 5 days. So the first thing we want to do is to take 50, and we are going to multiply it by 5, and this will tell us the total amount of kilometers for all 5 days. So for 5 days, they drove 250 kilometers total. Now that we have this in kilometers, we want to now switch our answer over to meters. So we're trying to figure out how many meters this would be. So we're going from kilometers, which are larger, to meters that are smaller. Well, what do we know about kilometers and meters? We know that 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters. So since we're going from a larger unit to a smaller unit, we're going to multiply. So we're going to take the 250 and we are going to multiply by 1,000, since there are 1,000 meters in a kilometer. Okay, so I know that 25 times 1 is 25. And then we have 3 zeros plus 1 zero over here, so we need a total of 4 zeros. So that's going to give us a total of 250,000 kilometers. Oops, sorry, meters. 250,000 meters. So it was 250 kilometers, but they wanted our answer in meters, so we had to convert it to 2,500 meters in 5 days. All right. Lacey is making sparkling lemonade for her birthday party. If she mixes 5 liters of lemonade and 2 2-liter bottles of lemon lime soda, how many milliliters of sparkling lemonade will she have? So we have 5 liters of lemonade, and then she has 2 2-liter bottles. So if she has 2 bottles and each bottle is 2 liters, so that's going to be 2 times 2 is 4, so that's a total of 4 liters. And 5 plus 4 equals 9, so this is 9 liters. But if we go back and look at our question, it says how many millimeters of sparkling lemonade? So we need to ask ourselves, what do we know about liters and millimeters? We know that there are, in 1 liter, there are, and this should be milliliters, a typo there. In 1 liter, there are 1,000 milliliters. So we're going from liters that are larger to milliliters that are smaller. So we're going to multiply. So we're going to take the 9 liters and we're going to multiply by 1,000 to figure out how many milliliters that would be. 9 times 1,000 would give us 9,000 milliliters. So she will have 9,000 milliliters of sparkling lemonade for her birthday. All right, David's backpack weighs 5 kilograms with all of his supplies. If he takes out 5 notebooks weighing 500 grams each, how much will his backpack weigh in kilograms? So we know that his backpack to begin with weighs 5 kilograms, but he takes some things out. We know that those 5 notebooks each weigh 500 grams. So if we have 500 grams for 1 book and he takes out 5 books, that's going to give us a total of 2,500 grams. But they want to know how much will his backpack weigh in kilograms. So if we take these grams, which are smaller, and convert them to kilograms that are larger. What do we know about grams and kilograms? We know that 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams. So if we're going from a smaller unit to a larger unit, we are going to divide. So we're going to have to divide by 1,000, which means we can use what we know about multiplying and dividing by powers of 10. So we're dividing, so we're going to put our decimal here at the end of the number, and we're going to move to the left 3 times. So we move 1, 2, 3. So that gives us 2 5/10 kilograms. So that is how much weight was taken out of his backpack. So if he started with 5 kilograms and he removed 2 5/10 kilograms, which is, yep, that's half of that amount. So that means he will have 2 5 kilograms left in his backpack. So for our solution, how much will his backpack weigh in kilograms? 2 5/10 kilograms. So it's very important that you read the information, make sure that, if you have different units of measurement, you need to make sure that you indicate that. I like to make sure whenever I underline my information, I underline what I have to start with, and then if they're asking about a different measurement, I like to draw a box around it or circle it. That way I know that it's different. So that way I know that I have to do some type of conversion. So it's very important that you read your problem very carefully, convert any information that you need to convert. And like we said, if we're going from a larger unit to a smaller unit, we're going to multiply. If we go from a smaller unit to a larger unit, then we are going to divide. Happy converting!